We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Are you looking for healthier, fuller hair? Do you want extra money for bills, trips, extracurricular activities for your kids, or do you want to replace your entire income? Monat is the answer. Our products are Leaping Bunny certified, vegan, and Monat can be used by anyone, including your kids and pets. Message me on my Instagram to partner with me. Founder shares are available, and as a market partner, you have access to uncapped bonuses, 45% commission, 35 to 55% off discounts, on top of all-inclusive paid trips. Right now, I also have a free gift for anyone that partners with me, so don't miss out. You can message me on my Instagram at LizChilvers87.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is Talk of the Toon with me, Steve Britt, and with Sid from Songs from the Attic. Good afternoon, good evening, Sid.
You all right?
Good, mate, very good. Good to see you. Pre-recorded show, only going out a couple of hours, though, later today. And the news, I guess, that has hit the news stores today is that Gareth Southgate has finally stepped down as England manager after that final defeat at the weekend, and come as no shock, really. But stepped down and cue all the rumour mill going into full flow now as to who's going to take the job on. But first, let's just look at Gareth Southgate and his time at England. I mean, it was a mess, England, that he walked into. My opinion, which I've put out there on social media, is that he deserves a thanks for what he's done, because he has restored a bit of pride in the England shirt. He has got people interested in watching England again, and he got England to a semi and 2 finals. Of course, still not won anything since '66, but you can't really fault what he's done. I think it was just a frustrating tournament that this time round, that he had such an easy draw, got to the final, and ultimately hadn't learned from these mistakes that he made in the previous Euro final 3 years ago, and ultimately went out with a whimper, not with a bang, as he should have done with what he's achieved as England manager. What's your thoughts, Sid?
Yeah, absolutely took over from the shambolic situation with Sam Allardyce, which was in itself was bonkers, I think is the phrase I would like to use. Yes, he's absolutely changed the mentality. I mean, you listen to the likes of Gary Neville and that, and he'd say you'd all be in the rooms together, and you'd have a Chelsea table, you'd have a Manchester United table, you'd have a Liverpool table, and Arsenal, and they'll all be separate from each other. So that's great in terms of the fact that they've all managed to sort of blend in together. But it's not really rocket science to be able to do that as a manager, I would suggest. But, tip my hat off to him for being able to do that and make everybody feel as a part of a team, which is exactly what you should be doing. Definitely done. If you look at it on paper, he's done a fantastic job on paper. But I like you refer to watching what I've actually watched and sort of witnessed, and it's been appalling at times. Yes, as I say, he did really well for the first few years, but he plays pragmatic, boring football, in my opinion. And yes, people go, oh, well, you can't have it always. Why not? It would be my argument. Look at Spain. Spain is the blueprint for what England should be doing. All out front foot, attacking football. They've got the players. And Southgate, unfortunately, is not that manager. But you know what? Well done to him. He's done a fabulous job. He has united, as I say, united the team and done really, really well with regards to that, bringing them together as a group and making players want to play for the nation now as well. People forget beforehand, you'd often get Man United players or Arsenal players suddenly getting injuries before the England games and then not being available. And as if by magic, that seems not to happen anymore. So well done on that front. But I personally think he should have went at the last tournament in the World Cup. I think he should have gone then, is my honest opinion. And I think irrespective, he'd made his mind up before the tournament that he was going. If he'd won, he was still going. So his stock's really high. He will get a job. I think he's going to be one of those managers, a bit like the old Wales manager who managed Sunderland, who might be better off as an international manager than a league manager, because I tell you what, I wouldn't want him managing my club. I'd be devastated if it turned out Eddie Howe took the England job and we got Gareth Southgate in return. I'd be absolutely gutted, if I'm being brutally honest. Well done to him. Round of applause. Terrific job. But let's be honest, we had the luck of the draw, as you rightly said there. We played appallingly bad. We had a good 30 minutes in the first game, a good half in the semi-final, and played all right in the final. But again, there was a situation when we equalised and he could have went all out to win, and he didn't. He just sat back. Anthony Gordon sat there twiddling his thumbs on the bench. You've got a lad who can bomb past players and cross the ball in the box. The Palmer came on and was magnificent. But there are certain players who looked almost like he'd written it into his contract not to take them off. Certain players seemed sort of immune to being substituted, which I couldn't get my head around. I mean, Harry Kane was awful for most of the tournament. Declan Rice was terrible. And this is a guy that Newcastle fans have bigged up and said he was outstanding for Arsenal, which he was. And I know a number of journalists picked Declan Rice as Player of the Year over Phil Foden. And I couldn't quite get my head around that. And he's looked so short, it's unbelievable. And Rodri looks miles ahead of Declan Rice playing in the same position. I mean, he's on another level. He's probably the best player in the world at the moment. And then you look at some of the England players who've been superb for their clubs, but not doing it for the country. Is it them? No, I don't think it is. I think it's the manager not being able to create a system that gets the best out of the players. There's no point in blaming the players, blame the manager. It's the manager's job to sort of get the best out of players. If certain players don't work, take them out of the team and put somebody else, or change the formation that creates the environment for the team to do really well. And it's about the team, not about individuals. And sometimes, in some cases, you may have to sacrifice a player for the team to be a better team. And he's not done that. Harry Kane, I thought he was running around in diving boots. It was running so slow, it was unbelievable. Even with my dodgy knees, I'd quite fancy running him at the moment. It was painful to watch. And I really, really rate Harry Kane. He's been a world-class centre-forward, no doubt about it. We aren't playing strengths, and his strength is somebody beside him doing all the speed work, and Kane almost being a number 10 who then drifts into a number 9 position. I personally think Tony would have been the ideal player to play with him up front and have a couple of wingers, but we don't play that formation. So if we don't play that formation, why is Harry Kane playing? Because you got the Aston Villa lad who came on and did, scored a fantastic goal, let's be honest, in the semi-finals, and he got behind the front men just with sheer pace. We've got pace in abundance, and they weren't played. And is it Carvey Solihull? Who was on Sky, and he was saying it was outrageous for England fans to say Southgate wasn't tactically aware. But I'm sorry, if you're going to the tournament and you're going to start a right back as left back, and you've got other left backs who you've not taken, then that's not tactically aware to me. You've not done due diligence in terms of organising your team properly. You've not worked things out properly. That's poor management, in my opinion. So he's always sort of reactive to what's going on rather than just going, right, let's go for it. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Let's sort of charge and take it to them. It's always waiting to see what's going to happen. I mean, or when we have gone 1-0 up, and I referred this the other week in terms of the Italian, when we played Italy in the final, and we should have won that game.
Yeah.
If he'd been proactive and just kept going for it, we could have absolutely tonked them, but we didn't. We stepped back, sat back, and then got beaten in a penalty shootout. And anybody can win a penalty shootout. It's look at the draw. So well done to him. Good luck. I'm hoping he's the Manchester United manager by Christmas. I wouldn't put money against it. I really wouldn't. And now, of course, the speculation starts.
That's my next question. So that's my next question.
Favourite, isn't he?
Yeah, Eddie Howe is one of the favourites to succeed Southgate.
Henry Winter mentioned Howe today. He said he was his favourite.
Most bookmakers have got him behind Graham Potter, who's not got a club at the moment.
Good choice. And I mentioned that myself.
Lee Carsley, who's the England under-21 manager, is second. Eddie Howe is third. And if you like a flutter and like longer odds, there's quite a few who are further out in the betting. Here's a list for you. Alan Shearer, Scott Parker, Alan Pardew, Steve Bruce, Michael Owen, Sam Allardyce for a second bite at the cherry, Sol Campbell. The big names that are missing from that list are Anton Deck and Mike Bassett.
I was waiting for Anton Deck to see what the odds were. I was waiting for it.
But he's third favourite, Howe. He's third favourite. I mean, we expect this kind of speculation, though, didn't we?
Absolutely. I mean, there are 2 or 3 obvious candidates. Howe and Potter are the 2 obvious ones. If you go English, if you go foreign, Pochettino, I think is a top draw manager as well that is available. They won't get Klopp, and I think Klopp is clearly a big German fan. So why would he go and manage England? And that's fair enough. Obviously, Pep, they can't afford his wages, and with him being Basque, you do wonder whether he'd want to manage Spain. It's a weird scenario there, isn't it? But I'm really unsure. Because if you Eddie Howe and offer you the job, will England ever have a squad as good as this again in 10 years' time? So when ideally he would be the perfect manager at that point. So does he go for it or not? I see him as a day-to-day manager. I think he likes the idea of getting up, being in early, dictating what goes on. You don't quite have that as an England manager in some respect. You don't have the day-to-day sort of situation that I think he thrives upon. Mm-hmm. But then again, I think he'd be an outstanding England manager. Let's not hide about it. The guy's a terrific manager. He's got the people skills, so he would work perfectly for England because he's not controversial. He's not like a Brian Clough who would speak his mind. So he's not that sort of character. So he'd be ideal. But so would Potter. And Potter's got a great backstory as well. And let's be honest, he went to Chelsea. They sacked Pochettino, who came 6th. He'd done a great job. He turned it round. You could see it turning around, and you're thinking, well, what you do? That's a crazy decision. So I'm really unsure. I think if Howe goes, we get Pochettino. I think that's absolutely nailed on. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would rather keep Eddie Howe. If I'm, it's my opinion, I'd rather keep him. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him go. I really wouldn't be surprised to see him go. It's obviously a big call, and sometimes you're not going to get they're not going to call you in again. Surprised Steve Bruce isn't on the list, mind you, Steve.
Yes, I know. He's waiting for Manchester United to call him, isn't he?
Well, I thought that would be the obvious one, but no, I do. I think it's between the 2 of them. I think it's between Potter and Howe, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the anti-Newcastle journalists really pushing the Howe narrative, just to sort of upset the apple cart a little bit.
Yeah.
But I see, I think it's between them 2 is my honest views. I'll be surprised if they go for Pochettino. I certainly don't think they'll go for Tuchel. I don't think he's anywhere within the shout. He's quite a controversial manager at times. So I think it's between those two, and Pochettino's an outside shout. Those would be the three that I think I'd go with. So, yeah.
Obviously, the big news at Newcastle United since we last spoke has been the departure of Amanda Staveley and Mirdad Gadusi. And we've discussed this a few nights in a row. We started on the Amigos and continued onto the professionals, and then the fans forum on Monday night. Lots of different views. Did they leave of their own accord? Were they pushed? You've had time to digest, like me, the statements that have been put out there. First of all, what was your views on them leaving? Were you shocked? And do you think
I was. I think anybody who says they weren't was not really telling the truth, in my opinion. I was surprised. I thought they'd be here for probably 2 more years. So, and also, I think if they were going to go, let's be honest, they'd probably announce it beforehand and want a big fanfare at the end of the season. So I was quite taken aback and saddened, if I'm being honest. I thought they've done a fantastic job, the pair of them. If you think about it, it's their desire and their drive in terms of enable the takeover. So, hey, come on, let's sort of give them a huge round of applause. And then also, people forget that they're the ones who helped employ Eddie Howe. They're involved in the whole interview process. They also were involved in the first transfer window, which was transformative in terms of what happened with the club and kept us up. So sensational is my honest opinion with regards to in terms of what they've done. I think the role that she's done with the women's football team, again, is remarkable. And that's the thing that saddens me the most, is that she's not somehow still got some sort of role with regards to the women's football team. I appreciate that. They were there to help put in place a whole team or help enable a team of experts in their fields. And that's what's actually happened now, ironically. So there's no role for them anymore. They've got a director of footballing or whatever his title is now. They've got a sports specialist in terms of health. They've got somebody who runs the club. They've got somebody in charge of marketing. So they've got all of these positions. And I still think there'll be more to come. So therefore, what would their role be? So they've almost written themselves out of a job. And I also think as well, have they gone because of what happened at the end of the transfer window? And I was one saying that, big steps had to be taken regarding the situation that was farcical situation that happened at the end of the transfer window, where we seem to be scrabbling around to try and sell players. I just thought that was a joke. Is it really their job though? Is that not sort of somebody else's job in the club? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So I really don't know what the situation is with regards to it. I'm not sure we'll ever find out, to be honest. But what I would like to see, I'd like to see them appear at the club on a regular basis and watch games. I think they'd get a fabulous sort of round of applause off the fans, and rightly so. And they should be entitled to do so. They've done such an amazing job. So, yeah, good luck to them. Good luck to them, whatever they do in the future. They've been nothing short of sensational. I thought their leaving speeches were very generous. I thought on both sides, I thought lovely. I thought they were very well worded, well thought through. Yeah, they sort of mentioned certain people. I think it's the way I'm going to see it. and
didn't mention certain others.
Yeah, I can sort of join the dots. But it was lovely speeches and respectful. And the only thing that saddens me as well is that there's not a woman within the top end of the club. I know that might not be popular with some, but for me, I like to see the whole, the gamut of different people, and I like to see everybody. I like to see a range of different people, and I always think, it would be good to have a woman at the top end of the club as well. Personally, that's my opinion. Just to sort of break things up again. I don't just want an all boys club, if you like. I would like to see a sort of range of different people. So well done to them. Fabulous. I hope they've been well paid. I'm sure they will have done. And, they'll always be welcome to come back to the club, I'm sure, off the fans. Absolutely incredible to see. But people forget or some people may forget where we were just before the takeover. I mean, I was literally giving it till I thought it was the January, wasn't it, where it was going to be the court case. And I was going to give it to the January to see whether I keep me ticket or not, because I was at the point, I was just the lowest ebb. It was like, it was just like a chore to go to the match, and you felt like you almost had to do it out of duty, and you were ticking it off, and it wasn't exciting. And football should be entertainment and fun, and it was very, very little of that. So well done to them. Cannot thank you enough, I think is the phrase I would use. So well done.
Yeah. Where does Eddie Howe go for, I don't know, a pat on the back? Where did he go for assurance? Because I tell you what really stuck out for me in the last, 72 hours is the emotional messages from the likes of Bruno on social media. That really stood out. But it was, it's the public perception, I guess, that that Amanda Miedad had a big part to play in recruitment of these players that are at the club now. Anthony Gordon, we saw that in the documentary, but also a huge part to play in the recruitment of the manager. I guess this timing, could potentially help those at the FA get their man if Eddie Howe is indeed their man. And do you think that the lack of Amanda Miedad at the club now could force? Well, it could make it easy for everybody. If Howe did have a design to go and manage England, Howe could now say, okay, yeah, well, I'm a bit uncertain about the future at the club now. There's been big changes, which I didn't expect. Amanda Miedad got me in. I don't really know the other people at the club as well. Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you think this could change the dynamics?
I do, because obviously Mitchell's worked twice before with Pochettino. So it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to sort of join the dots. However, does a manager really need that sort of reassurance? I'm not sure. I'm not sure you do. I think top managers don't. They're prepared to sort of live and die by the results. I think they often need an ally. If you look at Arsene Wenger, for example, his ally was David Dean. During the times when Arsenal were a great team, it was when David Dean was there. The minute David Dean left, I appreciate that things went downhill. So I can see that. I can absolutely see that. Well, Howe's such an affable sort of fella. You'd imagine him to get on so well with Mitchell as well, and that they build a team and a bond anyway. I can certainly see that. I would be very surprised if that doesn't occur. But what I do want to state now, though, I want the England job sorted in the next 2 weeks. This can't be hanging on for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And everyone going, oh, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? We don't want to have a conversation at the start of the season thinking, is Eddie Howe going to be here in a couple of weeks' time? Because that would just be crackers. So we need that to get resolved really, really quickly. And I take my hat off to Gareth Southgate for resigning straight away, because he's clearly aware of that scenario. Because the England team wanted to stay on to Christmas, which would be so unfair. Could you imagine at Christmas any team losing their manager at Christmas? I'm assuming they probably have kept a manager on, that have had an interim manager all the summer, but that's not right. That's really not right. So well done for Southgate actually for falling on his sword straight away, and allowing clubs to get sorted out. I think that's, actually I do take my hat off to him for that. Yeah. But I want it resolved within 2 weeks, and it shouldn't take that long to sort. And I think they've got to remember as well, with regards to England, they don't pay a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Compared to Premier League clubs who play considerably more. So
it's not like it looks like Potter's hung on and hung on and hung on.
Yeah, it does. He's turned down jobs, apparently. He has turned down jobs, and I get the impression. Has he been given the wink beforehand?
Yeah.
You'd be. If England hadn't already got somebody lined up, they've not been doing their job properly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would agree. I don't think it'll be costly. I think Potter will be the first choice, and I think he'll get the job imminently, and I don't think we'll have any more messing around. But I think with Eddie Howe, the problem we've got as Newcastle fans is that we will be constantly linked. Just before we came on air, Jamie Carragher's on Sky saying Eddie Howe's his first choice.
He's bound to say that because of
course he is.
The way he thinks. He would never have mentioned a Liverpool manager if they'd had an English Liverpool manager, would he?
Would you go for foreign again? I mean, they've been down that road before. They've had the likes of Sven Gordon Eriksson. They've had
I think provided
anything against.
If they've been in the Premier League, absolutely. Pochettino will be fabulous as an international manager. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. Klopp would be brilliant, wouldn't he? He'd be brilliant. They wouldn't get him, but he'd be brilliant. Pep Guardiola, they would turn him down. I mean, ironically, the one that they could have got would be Mourinho, because you're not going to get loads of kicking off and grief in international football because you're not there every day. And the other one that they could have got, but I don't think he plays the football, is Benitez, which nobody's mentioned. So Rafa, it's a bit boring football, let's be honest, but he's pragmatic and he's tactically excellent. I suspect his day's been and gone.
Yeah, I would certainly say that. I mean, I think the foreign manager coming in would be frowned upon by some, welcomed by others, but it needs to be somebody. It just needs to be somebody different. I couldn't see Jurgen Klopp doing it. I genuinely couldn't.
No.
There was somebody suggesting that perhaps England put a caretaker manager in until Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City, and lots of people feeling that he's going to leave Man City within the next 12 months. One more season.
I think he will. I think he will. Yeah, I think
Guardiola potentially.
Oh, he'd be the dream choice, wouldn't he? He is the best manager in the world. There's an argument. He's certainly in the top few managers of all time. I think it'd be difficult to argue against that. Yes, people might say he's always had top-end clubs, so he's never managed at a lower level. And I think that's fair to throw at him. But people harp on about Ferguson being the greatest manager in the UK, which he's not. I always think it's Bob Paisley personally. But in terms of, I always say, how many European trophies have you won? In terms of European Cups, that's where your benchmark comes in. That's why Clough, for me, did such an incredible job with Forest. And Derby County, if you remember, got to the European Cup final, and Clough had been removed at that point.
Yeah.
So he's another one I would have thrown into the names as well as great British managers. But I digress. But I think he's right up there. And the other one, of course, is the Real Madrid manager, Ancelotti, who's the other truly great manager in world football. But I don't see Ancelotti managing England either. I suspect he would go to Italy. Which is fair enough. I think it's different with Guardiola because of the fact he played for Barcelona, and the whole Barcelona situation with regards to Spain with the Basque situation is a little bit different, isn't it? I don't fully understand it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on it. But there obviously is, it's not ideal, I think is the phrase. So there is that possibility that he could manage England. We shall see.
Yeah, we will see. That's the breaking news today that Gareth Southgate has stepped down from international duty as England manager, and lots of opinions as about who could take the job. I'm sure it'll run and run, but I think both Sid and I agree the sooner it's sorted out, the better, so we can concentrate, and Eddie Howe can concentrate on managing Newcastle United next season. Okay, as always on this show, we'll have the ads, and then we'll be bringing Robin for his album review of the week.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today.
And it's a big welcome to Rob from Give Up the Ghost UK. How are you, Rob?
Hey, gents, you okay?
Very
Rob,
good, mate.
good to see you.
Good to see you, mate. And
Really
just want to ask you how your gig went. You sent me a few photographs. It looks like you've been in the wars.
Yeah, I drummed till I bled. Yeah, that was really sore. It was stinging. It was just absolutely stinging. So that's what happens when I forget to put drum grip tape on my sticks. So yeah, it was a really good night. Really, really good feedback we had. So all good.
Good stuff, mate. You've sent us a couple of other pictures. The T-shirts went well.
Yeah, we sold quite a lot of them actually. That's the new design. The old one's at the back for the lady at the back there. But yeah, really good. So I'm bringing a couple down for you instead.
Good stuff, mate. And it's not a phase, guys. Play Jesse's girl. What's that all about?
I don't know. That's Leonie. She's a barmaid. She's a friend of her singer's wife. So I don't know. I think it's just a private joke. I don't get it. She's done it at her last gig as well. I don't know.
Good stuff as always. Give Up the Ghost UK. You can find the guys on Facebook. Give them a like, give them a follow, because the band is a great one, and we are hoping to get them down in Newcastle maybe next year to do a gig. It'd be good to get them on at the end of season two. But where we're going, Rob? What is the album that you are taking us to today? I presume it's not this one.
No. How good is that, Sid? I know you both like your science fiction, so not science friction, Sid.
No, joking aside, I've actually brought one to the table as well. A new single release coming out in the horror charts, lads. Never Stop Dreaming by Freddy Krueger.
Good. Right, okay. Before I start, obviously football's not coming home. But I'm coming home this Saturday at the end of season party. This Saturday, I'll be coming home. So that means more to me. So there you go.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing you.
I've got U2's third album, War. Loved it at the time. I remember buying it at John Menzies at the time. So this is 1983. It's a third studio album. I'm big on third albums. I think the anticipation of any debut album is always exciting. The second one is as good as the first. And then you've got your third. I always think the third makes it, but not in this case. So you've got Paul Hewson on vocals, Bono Vox, obviously named after the hearing aid shop in Dublin. Brian Evans, The Edge, got his name because of his jawline, The Edge, there you go. Larry Mullen Jr. and Adam Clayton. If you remember Actoon Baby, Adam Clayton appeared naked on the cover. It shouldn't have been called Actoon Baby, more Actoon Bobby. So there you go. So that's the band members. So this is recorded at Windmill Lane Studios in Dublin. Singles New Year's Day, Two Hearts Beat as One, Sunday Bloody Sunday. When I was writing this down, I could not get Alan Partridge out of my head. And I think you both know the sketch, you know. He's talking to a couple of Irish guys having his breakfast, and he says, get up on Sunday, go to wash your car, clean the windows, Sunday, bloody Sunday. So yeah, that's Alan Partridge's sketch. Then you've got 40, which is a single as well. So opening with Sunday Bloody Sunday, really, really good intro, military drum style on this one. It's a song about troubles in Ireland, very powerful, deep, sort of like a protest song. This was written by The Edge. I find it a bit repetitive at the end. Then you got number 2, Seconds. Really, really good bass lines, big bass runs by Adam Clayton on this one. It's quite a mysterious song. I think it's about nuclear weapons. The Edge sings the first verse on this one. It's quite a good song, though. New Year's Day. It's one of my standout songs, classics. A 10 out of 10 for this. Absolutely top drawer harmonies. Nice piano parts on this one. It's a bit of a love song as well, and it peaked at number 10 in the UK charts. Then you got Drowning Man, sort of like emotional vocal delivery by Bono on this one. It's quite a religious song. Nice harmonics by the Edge on the guitar on this one. Really, really good song. It's a hidden gem. You got Refugee, a slow start, strong drum beat, develops really well, good melodics, good produced song, very tribal. It's okay. It sounds, I'm just going to say it's good, well-produced song, but it's a bit tinny. Two Hearts Beat as One is track 7. Absolutely love this song. Again, really strong. The Edge is staple guitar sound. It reminds me a little bit of New Year's Day. Really, really driving bass by Adam Clayton. It's sort of a very, very radio-friendly song. Brilliant song. I love it. You got Red Light. That's again, it's a nice mid-tempo song. Sort of nice female backing vocals. Nice little bit of trumpet on this one, which is unusual for U2. Playing on this one, it's a pleasant song. I do like the tempo on this one. Then we have Surrender. I think I'd probably say this is the best song on the album for me. A very underrated song. It's a song you can just sort of lose yourself in. Nice echo on the guitar as well, and the vocals are absolutely sublime. 10 and 10 for that one. You got 40, my least favourite song on the album. Don't like it. It's just reminds me of a passage from the Bible. Edge plays bass on this one because Adam Clayton wasn't unavailable. It's a bit of a downer song for me for the end of an album. And also as well, like I said, you'll know it, this came with the album, the back of it, live at Red Rocks under Blood Red Sky at Colorado. Yeah. Brilliant concert. And that's been re-released, remastered as well. A couple of extra songs and it's really, really good. So after listening to this, it was my favourite sort of U2. I love early U2. Definitely going to say the first two are better than this one, but I think this album sort of like made them. I think the record label said, like, you need a stronger song, you need a couple of good singles, but this one done it. I just prefer Boy in October. I think they're more personal. A lot of the songs are about the first albums at Bono, his upbringing, losing his mother, and just him growing up into being a boy into a man. That's what I get from it. But yeah, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. But I did enjoy listening to it, and there's a lot of good songs in it. Surrender's a standout song for me. Over to you.
Great stuff. Okay, Sid.
Yeah, I love U2. I've seen them numerous times. I actually think Boy is a better album. I think Boy's a top album. It's a great debut album. October's a good album, but not as good. Mm-hmm. And War's got some great songs on it. Mm-hmm. I love 40 actually, but that's by the by. So yeah, and Blood Red Sky came out, which is just fantastic. Done at Red Rocks. It's Red Rocks concert is brilliant. I don't know why they didn't release the whole thing from that, because they just released about 8 songs from a couple of different gigs on Blood Red Sky album. But great album, really, really great album. And that's probably the album that catapulted them to be a sort of superstar band, because obviously they did then Live Aid a couple of years later, and they were huge. But yeah, saw them on a number of occasions, and they do a number of those songs. I remember buying at the time, obviously I bought Boy when it came out. I bought War the day it came out in 83. I was a big fan at that point. And then I bought the Two Hearts Japanese single, which I remember getting as well. Great song. So yeah, good album, but Boy's better in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
So I've gone.
I saw them on Ned. Sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you went, but I saw them on the Joshua Tree Tour 87 at Murrayfield. The support bands. I went because the Mission. I found out that Bono was a big Mission fan, especially Mission's debut album, God's Own Medicine. So you had Love and Money, Run Rig, the Pogues, and the Mission. The Mission, I'm just looking back at it, the Mission had only been a band for a year, and they played to Elland Road on that tour at Murrayfield, and I absolutely never forget that. Never forget it. Absolutely brilliant tour that was. Yeah.
That's canny lineup, that actually. That's a good lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Today I've gone with Pete Townshend's Empty Glass album, which I absolutely love. It's a top draw album. It's such an improvement on the previous terrible Who album, Who Are You, which I just think is an awful album, which came out in '78, bar a couple of great tracks, of course. I've done a show where I've basically said if Townsend had incorporated this with a little bit of face dances, it would have been as one of the greatest Who albums of all time. I genuinely believe that. It's a great album. Rough Boys kicks off the album. The album's got a real new wave edge to it as well. It's got the musicians, it's got the bass player and the drummer from Big Country on it. So they feature on a number of the tracks together with Tony Butler and the drummer Mark Brzezicki. Is that right? So they're on a number, as well as Simon Phillips, who was also a great technical drummer. So they're on. Musicianship is just superb. So the first song, Rough Boys, is a great song. It's got a real punky feel about it, but it's actually a song possibly about the idea of coming out. So it's got a real sort of gay theme, which Townsend describes it as having. It's an excellent song. We've then got the next song, I'm an Animal, lovely song. A Little Is Enough is also later on. A Little Is Enough, great song, which fabulous actually, about relationships. Let My Love Open the Door, which was a massive hit in America, which was a real surprise. It was like a top 5 song. Should have been a Who song, in my opinion. Again, a fabulous tune. If you've not heard it, go out and listen to it. Jules and Jim, which is, again, another real punk rock type song where he's basically having a go at rock journalists at the time. And again, a little bit of a pun with regards to the Truffaut sort of reference there with Jules and Jim. It's about poison pen letter to the NME. But it's a great song. And he mentions Keith Moon in it as well. And the Death of Moon gets referenced. But again, very sort of melodic, very powerful, very fast. Then some other great songs on the album. Keep On Working's good. Cats in the Cupboard's excellent, actually. Bizarre, I'm not quite sure the meaning of it, but excellent. Little Is Enough was another hit single. Empty Glass, very, very sad song about Townsend's alcoholism. And then Gonna Get You is like a real sort of rocker to finish with at the end there. Just a top-notch album. Should have been a Who album. If Daltrey had sang 5 or 6 tracks off this and put some of the face dances stuff together, it would have been one of the great albums, without a doubt. But this is still, in my opinion, a 5-star album. I think it's magnificent, and I play this regularly. So that's Pete Townsend's Empty Glass. Magnificent. Go and check it out. Book-wise, I've gone with Townsend's book, Who I Am, which came out in 2012. Some really unusual stuff in it. Obviously, talks about the build-up of the Who. He talks about his early childhood, how he was sexually abused. So he talks about all of that. He talks about, obviously, the build-up of the band, his life with the band, his alcohol issues, his heroin issues. He talks about how he was arrested in 2002, how he was basically let off. That's fascinating. Go and check that out. It's just a really good read. He talks about various issues within his life, his obsessions with different people. He talks about his songwriting process. It's a really great read. It is a really, really great read. Townsend's audiobook is probably the better way of getting it. Fascinating insight into his life, in terms of his writing, in terms of his personality, how he separated, left his wife after 25 years. He's been married to another woman now for about 25 years. That's also sort of detailed. Just great for me. Probably along with Bowie's my favourite songwriter. So they're the 2 big songwriters that I genuinely love the most. I think he's a genius. And I mentioned earlier on, I do the controversial show of the Who Face Dances Reimagined with tracks from Empty Glass and Mac Vicar, because there are 2 great tracks on Mac Vicar that could have easily been merged together, because Townsend plays on the tracks with Entwistle and Kenny Jones. And if they'd been sort of merged into one album, it would have been an incredible album. So there you go. Go and check it out on my channel. So that's my choice for today.
Great stuff. Fantastic stuff, as always, lads. What's coming up next for the band? And Rob, any more gigs booked in?
Yeah, I've got another gig booked. An away gig this time. It's in Arbroath, so it's about half an hour from where we stay. But that's with a band called The Tolerated. They supported us last weekend. Really, really good. Sort of like punk classics and doing their original material as well.
Great stuff, mate. Excellent. Well, don't forget, people, go out there. Give Up the Ghost UK is where you want to go to follow Rob's band. Songs from the Attic, of course, on YouTube. Give that a subscription. That is Sid's channel. Rob, look forward to seeing you at the weekend, and look forward to seeing you back on the show next week. Take care.
Yep, I'll see you on Saturday, guys, and thank you everybody for watching. And the figures are going up. It's really, really good. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Anyone's got a request? Anyone's got a request for Rob? Drop it in the comments below in the video, and Rob will pick it up. Take care, Rob.
See you later, man.
Okay, guys.
Great to see him, as always, and looking forward to seeing him at the weekend. Okay, let's get back to Newcastle United related stuff. This was leaked at the weekend, footyheadlines.com. We'll give them the credit. They're the ones who put it up there. Releasing the pictures of the away shirt, and as expected, the purple and blue top is making a comeback. Ginola, it probably reminds us of a couple of the photographs that were released, obviously closing in on the Adidas badge and the club badge. As always, Sid, our fan base manages to twist on 21, find something to complain about. Some people don't like the badge. Some people don't like the fact it hasn't got Adidas on it. Some people don't like the colour. Some people don't like the fact that it's that they haven't got the right amount of stripes on. I mean, come on, man! For God's sake, it's a strip. You either like it or you don't. Somebody making the comment last night that had too much white on it. Darren, I think it was, said he didn't like it because it's got too much white on it. Some people don't like the colour; they want the granddad colour. You can't keep everybody happy, can you? But what do you make of it?
I like it. I think it's lovely. Obviously, it's based on the, as we call it, the Ginola strip, and there was a variation of it a few years ago, wasn't there, as well? Which Castor did a good job on, I have to say, and I keep saying I think Castor made some really nice strips. Just terrible in terms of the rest of it, but. In my opinion, but I really liked. I really like it. I think it's lovely. I think it's a lovely strip. It does hark back to the old days, obviously, with regards to 95, 96, and they're playing it really safe. Adidas have played it really safe. I think is the fair way to say it. And I'm sure next year or the year after they'll do something really daring and step out, and people will go, "Oh, that's bloody awful," and then over time we'll go, "Oh, do you remember that strip?" And that's the way it generally works, isn't it? Apart from, I still hate that yellow strip we once had. It was absolutely terrible. But the Stephen Taylor strip, I describe it as. But the Ginola strip there, lovely. Really like it. Really classy. I'm hoping it's able to fit all sizes because it looks very slim. But I have to say, Adidas, so far, in terms of the clothing that I bought, dead impressed. The sizing's lovely. You know, a large is exactly as it says on the tin. It is a large. So whereas before I found that an extra large would be no more appropriate, but a large is exactly right. So I really like the clothing, and the quality is top notch. The quality is top draw. Looks lush. Really like it. Will I buy it? Probably not. As I say, I'm not really wanting to buy in strips. I might buy older strips or retro strips. But I'm more into this. I prefer the training gear, which I sort of mentioned before. And I really like that Eddie Howe jacket he had on, that black, the Adidas top on. That's really nice. The white one was very nice as well. Those are the things that I would be more inclined to go and purchase. Or, as I say, a pair of trainers with Newcastle written on or something, rather than going out and buying tops. But, you know, to each their own. And it'll look lovely. I'm looking forward to seeing them coming out, and I'm sure they'll do a bundle. I'm surprised they haven't come out already.
Yeah, me too. I don't know whether there is a delay or whether they were always going to come out slightly later. But I would imagine that this top will be out and available in time for the Seller Cup, which is just short of 3 weeks away now. So and that leads us nicely into the friendlies. I mean, we now know that Newcastle will play Hull City on the 27th of July. Then they're off to Japan. They will be playing the Urawa Red Diamonds and Yokohama F Marinos. And then the Seller Cup makes a return to St James's Park as we defend our trophy. The 9th and the 10th of August, Girona and Brest or Newcastle will be taken on. But as the England team fly home from Germany, Newcastle United have flown out to Germany on Monday for a week-long training camp at the Adidas headquarters. There hasn't been any mention of whether any game will be played during that time, and Mick claims that Eddie Howe's side will face both Gateshead and Leeds United behind closed doors at some point in pre-season. But a behind closed doors kickabout against Burnley has been announced by the Championship side and that is on an undisclosed date. It's one of 5 friendlies that Burnley will play at their training ground. It's that's assumed that the behind the closed doors games that meet the conditions of Sandro Tonali's ban, which will give him some match practice before he comes back at the end of August. And I think it's essential, isn't it, really? Although he's been training with the team, which, Tony wasn't given that kind of privilege when he was banned. Tonali's been able to train for 8-9 months with Newcastle United. But it's very important, I think, if he's going to be an integral part of our first team, and maybe the starting 11 from day one, he's going to have to get some match practice, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He has to. I mean, there's a difference between training fit and match fit. It's a totally different level, isn't it? So 3 or 4 games behind closed doors would be good. And again, Howe will just phase him in. There's no way he's just going to throw him straight in on the first game back and play the whole game. He'd probably come on as a sub and play 10, 15 minutes, and then he'll build him in. I'm really looking forward to seeing him because he won't also have that emotional baggage that goes with him. And secondly, and this is just as important, he's learned English. His English sounds really, really good. And that's a massive thing in terms of his communication with the rest of the players and in terms of his understanding. And he offers something that we don't really have that much in the middle of the park, is absolute blistering pace. He's really, really quick. So that's something that we can really sort of play on as well. His touch is exceptional. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. And as I say, I'm looking forward to seeing him without that emotional baggage of the whole gambling issue and everything that went with it. Because as much as people say, oh, well, this, that, and the other, it's obviously going to be playing on your mind. If it's playing on your mind, are you able to perform to the best of your ability? And the argument would be probably not. So he doesn't have any of that going on anymore. So let's see how he does. And I've got huge hopes for him because that debut game was one of the greatest debuts I've ever seen in a black and white top. Although that said, we said the same about Sissoko as well. But he looks like a top-notch player, and you don't get that round of applause that he got off AC Milan fans for no reason at all.
No.
When he went back to Milan. So, yeah, high hopes from him. And what I also like to ask, which is interesting, the fact that it's Burnley, does that therefore infer maybe that the Trafford deal is back on?
Possibly, yeah.
Because it seems, although of course Scott Parker was an ex-Newcastle United player for a short while, so there is a little link there anyway. And Newcastle seem to get on quite well with Burnley with regards to deals that they've had in the past or dealings that they've had in the past. So there might be some sort of little relationship there as well. So we don't know. It's interesting though. It's interesting. I predict that Newcastle will have a new player by the end of this week.
Yeah, quiet on the transfer front. Theo, of course, the centre half being linked quite heavily. People saying he's been seen, and he's been in Newcastle. We'll wait and see what happens on that front. One incoming's been James Bunt, of course. He's come in and been appointed as the club's performance director, which was a role that he filled under Paul Mitchell, who, of course, has come in as our new sporting director. He did that at AS Monaco from 2020 until the pair departed last year. So he's coming in. I think his responsibilities for injury prevention, risk reduction, monitoring physical preparation, performance, medical, nutritional, psychological aspects. He's got everything that he needs and done all those kind of things. And it could be useful after what we went through last year with the injuries. Yeah,
last year was the worst by a country mile. I've never seen anything like it. And the fact that we topped the charts, unfortunately, tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
And obviously he's best. They must feel he's best in field. And the fact that he's got experience with Mitchell as well tells you all you need to know. So it also tells you that Mitchell's got a real lot of power as well. It tells you he's got a real lot of power and a lot of clout within the club, which is a good thing, I think, in my opinion.
It's going to be so interesting to see how all this pans out, because that is exactly what Mitchell has, clout, and is he going to hit it off with Eddie Howe? And there's a lot of movement going on behind the scenes. You wonder who's making these decisions. Is it the 85% shareholder? You would imagine it is. It probably is PIF. Have they felt that things need to change, and maybe this is their way of doing it? Only time will tell, Sid.
Time will tell, and I think there's lots of pressure on Eddie Howe, but in a good way. I genuinely think you know, I feel free to shoot me down, folks. I think Champions League is the priority this year in terms of where they have to get to. Obviously, without a doubt, my personal view, I would rather see us win a cup over everything else. I have to say that, you know. But I think it'll be top 4, might be top 5, because it might swing based upon the way things work out. But I think Champions League is, and it has to be, the target for the season. I think, yes, you can almost write that Man City will take one of the places, Arsenal will take the others, but the rest's all up for debate. No one knows what's going to happen with Liverpool this season. And they sort of slipped off a little bit at the end of last season as well, and that was even under Klopp.
Yeah.
Nobody knows I don't see Spurs. I really don't see Spurs doing it. Villa, I think, may struggle a little bit this season. I do. I think so. I think it's all there. It's all to play for, is my honest opinion. And I can't see. And if Newcastle don't get Champions League this year, they will struggle to hold on to some of the players. So I think the pressure's on there, on for Howe, but I think it's good pressure in a good way. And I'm pretty sure the club will back him. I do think they'll back him.
Great stuff as always. Thanks to Rob for joining us. Sid, thanks for joining us as well. Song from the Attic, 1977. Jump on there on YouTube. Give him a sub for his channel. Plenty of great content on there as well. See you next week, Sid. Take care.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.